This season marks a new beginning. Witness the raw power, iconic sound, and pure speed from the historic Lotus 79. Experience the competition and glory days of early 80s open-wheel action. Watch as drivers wrestle these ground effects cars into submission. Drivers will face off wheel to wheel. For some, it's a chance at redemption. For others, an opportunity to make a statement. All sharing the same goal, to be crowned champion. Tune in Thursday nights on the iRacing Esports Network to watch the premier historic open wheel series on iRacing, the Lionheart Retro Series presented by Butt Kicker.
This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
It's the final race of 2019 Season 1. A mere 4 points separate Padavani and his teammate Overbay. While Overbay stands on the high ground with the points lead, Padavani carries an immense amount of momentum. 3 of the last 4 rounds have been won by the Brazilian. A tight and demanding circuit stands between both of them and the crown. Which one gets the throne? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the final round of the Precision Racing League's American iRacing Thursday series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel and the iRacing Esports Network. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Taylor Burris. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Taylor, Brands Hatch. It's tough enough in lower-powered cars, but these radicals seem like they've got to be on a knife's edge around here.
These radicals are definitely on a nice pitch here at Brands Hatch, and welcome to Brands Hatch Racing Circuit. Located in Kent, England, this 2.3 mile or 3.7 kilometer 9-turn course is one of the pinnacle British motor racing tracks in the UK. From many forms of motorsports, from open wheels, sports car racing, even hosting events for the 2012 Paralympics, it's definitely a track worth visiting if you're over in the UK. To give drivers to see the what it's like to take on this amazing course, let us go on board for a GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Stefan Schlacker and the GSRC Radical, so let's do a lap around Brands Hatch. Paddock Hill Bend will make it difficult to get the car down to the apex, but the bigger worry will probably be the compression at the bottom. The car may get a bad bounce and send you spinning. Plus, about the only great place to outbrake your opponent is into Druids. There's going to be some desperate lunges into this hairpin that might not result in happy drivers. Off the corner and back down in elevation again, Graham Hill Bend will be faster than you'd expect because you can take quite a bit of the runoff. Then comes another spot that's likely to bring danger, Surtees. The curb to the inside can upset the car, but the curb at the exit will also be treacherous. Of course, spinning the wheels as you try to get a run down Pilgrim's Drop just adds to the likelihood that many will swap ends during today's race. With such a long straightaway, you'd think there'd be a chance to pass into Hawthorne, but this right-hander requires little braking and is taken at a frightening rate of knots, so only the brave will be going through here side by side. Westfield is another that will be pretty single file and needs you to take all the runoff you dare to be fast. After plunging through Dingledale, you've got the blind apex of Sheen. Driver error will be embarrassingly common, especially when pushing the limit through this corner. Now, despite the banking in Stirling, a good driver will be gentle in reapplying the power to keep from finding the Armco. You can finally get a short breather, so take the chance to collect yourself before Clark. This is a strange corner that will leave many fighting understeer due to the crest in the middle. Once again, try not to spin the wheels as you power up the curved Brabham Straight, but you've now hopefully finished a lap around Brands Hatch. There you see a lap around Brands Hatch. There's going to be a lot of them here in the 45-minute race as they get around here quite quickly. This season, of course, is sponsored by HFD1 Motorsports. A big thank you goes out to that team for tossing the money forward to make sure that this thing gets to air every Thursday night of this short winter season. It has been spectacular to watch. Especially since this is a new series for PRL. And so the drivers have really had to adapt to it, and it's thrown up some crazy finishes for us. So big thank you once again to HFD1 Motorsports. Now, the championship. I talked about it. It's gotten very, very tight. Padavani has outscored Overbay by 14 points in the latter half of the season and has closed in. However, because he missed the first round, you see he has no drop weeks. So that won't really come into effect except for Overbay if he has a DNF out here very early on and finds himself lower down the standings because he still has 13 pocket points. But it'll be a little bit complicated, of course, but thankfully with it being so small of a gap, it's mostly down to who finishes ahead of the other by enough positions, maybe about 2 or 3. We'll try and keep you up to date as the race goes on. File has jumped up to third, and there you see the rest of the 5. Let's take a look at the Teams Championship. Taylor, well, what are we looking at for that?
The Teams Championship maybe not as close, but still is quite tight for the top 2 as BO Racing of Overbay and Padavani lead by 38 points over the Fraley's Auto Body team of File and Luke. While the Cash for Crash team of McLaughlin and Wildridge are back in 3rd position, 123 points back, with the Blown Tranny Racing team with Gunderson Gore in 4th, and then the Black Flag Racing crew with Ritzko and Gill round out your top 5 here, Joe.
And then if you haven't watched one of these races yet, well, this is an interesting one to join on with all the stakes that we have up for grabs. We are in the final round of this 8-race season. They've restricted the fuel compared to what the real cars have. So they have one scheduled pit stop for fuel in this 45-minute race. They can tweak the setup to the car to their liking. It is not a fixed setup series. The real cars have a number of things that you can do to them. And so anything you can do there, you can do here in the sim. They also have an incident cap of 24. If you hit those 24 incidents, you are disqualified on the spot. They have no spare car waiting for them. If they get any sort of damage, you've got to come in and get that repaired if you find you can't drive as well as you used to. And damage will be likely around this tight track. I have to imagine that's got to be included in one of those keys of the race.
Yeah, it is definitely a big key here for these drivers. It is very difficult to pass here at Brands Hatch. Drivers are going to have to be showing patience throughout the duration of this race, finding that opportune time to make that pass. There's several good passing opportunities. One of them is going to be turn 1, that downhill corner, but be careful and make sure the car does not get too loose from out underneath you. Otherwise, you could end up into the barriers. Another thing drivers are going to have to keep an eye on is that this is the final race of the season, so points are on the line. We may have some drivers not able to maybe go for the championship, but what about those just wanting to finish the season off on a high note? I know there's a lot of drivers here tonight. We're looking forward to just finishing strong here to put a little bit of a feather in their cap in order to try and survive this season and get ready for the next season. And then finally, what is going to be the happening between these two teammates battling it out for the championship, Padavani and Overbay. This is the story of tonight's race, pretty much actually the story all season long. Who will come out on top here tonight, Joe?
Well, we'll get to where things are in the qualifying in a second. Before we do that, we want to mention, if you do independent vehicle inspection, there is a lot to keep track of. Whether it's an old school pile of paper documents or a computer full of spreadsheets, it can get overwhelming. But we have great news for you. Inspect a Ride is the fastest way to conduct vehicle inspections and create reports. You can save time, eliminate paper, keep better inspection records, and simplify your life, all from your iPhone, iPad, or Android phone or tablet. You can find out more about this useful app at inspectoride.com/iRacing. Or you can even download a free trial to find out if Inspect a Ride is right for you. So check it out. Once again, that address is inspectoride.com/iRacing. Also, a big thank you to the IESN, the iRacing Esports Network, for bringing us on in this first season for the Thursday series. It has been a great one to watch, and we encourage you to subscribe to IESN by clicking on the big red button that says that very thing. Very simple to do to get all the races on IESN in your YouTube feed. So things have gotten very fascinating in qualifying because Padavani, you may have noticed at the top of your screen, went purple. He took the fastest lap away from a very hot Michael Overbay. 2/10, in fact, because Taylor and the warm-up, it certainly did not look like that. Overbay looked unbeatable.
Looking at the times, it seemed actually impressive that Padavani was able to set the pole time right now. Michael Overbay might, though, still have a little bit of time, though. He's got about under 5 minutes in order to set that qualifying time to beat him. But he's going to have a little bit of help and try to run the cleanest lap possible here in order to do it.
Got a fair bit of time to try and get a few more laps in. Padavani did duck into the pits after a couple laps out there. He hasn't actually got many on the board. Most of them had off tracks that discounted them. Overbay, on the other hand, has logged in 5 timed laps with a 17.8 being his fastest. We're watching the Buckeye right now wind his way through Hawthorne into the back half of the circuit. And now, I don't know about you, Taylor, but for me, this was always my most feared part, just through this whole back wooded section.
It is, because there's some areas like right now where Overbays is going through Shreve. It is a blind corner. You do not know what's going to be happening right in front of you when you get to that section of the track. That's where you're going to have to definitely have your eyes open and focus, especially if there's a problem up in front of you. Listening to your spotter as best you can will be a big help tonight when going through that section of the track.
As he crosses the line, is this one going to be any faster? No, it is not. A 1:18 flat. He's got to go around again. Eric Luke behind him, though. No, we're going to Owen McLaughlin. He's sitting in 6, getting ready to finish his lap. Luke, who I mentioned before, is currently sitting in 3rd behind the two of them. Another 5/10 back, another half second back. Owen McLaughlin's last lap, unfortunately, did not count.
Christian Gritzko is now getting ready to complete his lap. He's actually on the first half of the track coming up towards Surtees. This is the driver, Joe, I believe, who had the bad luck award pretty much all season. Has had those good starts, but just can't seem to quite close the deal. Maybe tonight will be the night where he can close it.
Yep, certainly did not have the best of races last time in Bathurst. Got turned around in the cutting and then got ran into by another driver as he was trying to get it turned around in that very tight part. See him coming through Westfield now, plunging through Dingledale. How fast can he take Sheen? This tricky blind corner looks nice and solid. Very clean line, but was he too cautious maybe?
Most likely, he might have just wanted to take it easy, feel the track out a little bit. He might, though, need to step it up just a little bit. Otherwise, he could lose that position. I mean, anything can happen in these final closing minutes for him right now, but Christian Briscoe looks like he's going to come across the line. Is he going to improve?
Yes.
I don't think he does.
119.5. That puts him in 6th. Overbay just recently crossed, and he had another lap that was not scored. He was followed by Padavani. They're right next to each other, and Padavani did not improve his time, so they sit as they are with Padavani at a 17.6 and Overbay at a 17.8. Once again on board with the driver leading the points championship.
This is actually quite a smart idea that Padavani is doing, just in case Overbay is setting the fastest lap this time by. This gives the opportunity for Padavani to quickly respond, just in case to swipe the pole away from him.
Riding on the nose of Overbay. I'm checking to see if there's any other major players getting ready to finish a lap. We're coming towards the end of qualifying. Anybody who crosses now basically gets one more, and that is it. So as Overbay climbs up Brabham Straight and across the line, 17.9 is close, but not good enough. Padavani's going to follow him. Padavani is the one that does not count this time.
Fortunate for Padavani, he could not respond right now, but this gives the opportunity for Michael Overbay to maybe try something here on this final few seconds left on the clock. This gives him enough time to run one lap. And he's definitely... Go ahead.
On screen we're seeing Gritsko because he just improved his lap time again. He was bumped down to 7th temporarily and jumped back up to 6th, disposing of Matthew Gunderson. The Canadian finding pace very late in this session. 13 seconds left. Who's going to cross the line and complete their qualifying first? It looks like Daniel Barnett, actually, who sits in 15th, is going to see the checkered flag, which comes now as he crosses. Does he improve? Nope, he doesn't even get a timed lap that time. That's going to be it for him. Next is going to be Padavani, our current pole sitter, and Overbay has exited out of qualifying, so he will not be able to overtake his teammate. The driver chasing in the championship goes off at the final corner. This lap is not going to count for Padavani now. Wow.
Briscoe's going to try to see if he can gain one more position. Looking at the times, he does, which moves up to 4th.
Nice job at 18.7, continuing to improve lap after lap. Duchesne going to be the last driver to complete his qualifying. He sits in 11th. We keep putting so much emphasis on these drivers fighting for the championship. We can't forget that there's a lot at stake down the line as well. Up the Brabham Straight, the yellow car goes. The Canadian crosses the line and he does not improve, so he stays in 11th. All right, that settles our grid here for today for the final round. So your starting order starts with the Brazilian, who is only 4 points back in second place in the points. Jefferson Padavani. He's won 3 out of the last 4 rounds. Michael Overbay has not looked as strong. He wrecked out of second place and allowed the championship to be this tight coming into the last race. Can he do better today? He's going to start from second on the front row. Next, his teammate Eric Luke will be P3 when the green drops. Then row 2 is completed by Gritsko, who in his last lap finds himself up to 4th. Owen McLaughlin will be P5 with Kenny Duval, yet again showing a little bit of speed, but yet again at last week at Bathurst, he wrecked out early from a good position. He'll start 6th. Matthew Gunderson will be P7, and then 8th will be Mark File. Paul Wiltridge will be 9th, and then Christopher Richards rounds out our top 10.
Starting in the 11th position will be Danny Duchesne. Alongside him will be Tyler Gore in the 77. Andrew Spicer will start in the 13th position alongside Eric Harmon in 14th. Daniel Barnett will start in the 15th position alongside Carson Quint with David Hebert in 17th. Gary Schillings in 18th, Bill Guillaumin in 19th, and Ronald McManus did not set a time. He will start in the 20th position.
With it being the final race, as always, we sometimes see a little bit less attendance, which won't necessarily be a bad thing for some of these faster drivers. We mentioned the short lap. Well, we could see traffic come into play. It's difficult to pass cars that you're competing with on the same lap. Getting past cars on a lap down is as well just as tough sometimes if they don't cooperate. We'll see who looks at the blue flags and duly gives way to our leaders when they come upon them late in the race. You can see them all gridded up now, waiting just for the likes of Duchesne, Spicer, and McManus to make their way to the grid. It's going to be a little bit of a short run to Paddock Hill Bend, and then will we see any sort of chaos? Sometimes that corner, with as blind as it is, as tricky as it is, with the cars all bunched up, offers a bit of chaos into there. It is currently about 76 degrees on the track surface, so it's rather grippy, thankfully. That should hopefully help around these incredibly fast corners that plague this track. Andrew Spicer now finds his way to the grid, just waiting on McManus, who I'm wondering if he's even going to show up. Looks like he's not, because the lights are up. Green flag is out, and Jefferson Padavani, a little bit of wheel spin off the line, but he makes good with it. He gets ahead of his teammate, already snaps ahead of him. Top four is single file, but then it starts to get side by side through the rest of the field. A little bit of a bobble, though, from the likes of Eric Luke. He manages to fend off Gritzko into Druids. Cars are still sorting themselves out, but it's a clean one, Taylor.
Very clean start here, surprisingly, but we still got that battle for the 5th position. It looks like McLaughlin goes off course right there as they come out. I wonder what happened there. He either got loose, but it might have been a little contact maybe with Duval. As he makes more contact into Surtees.
Yep, he is off the course. We'll come back to that replay in a bit. Overbay losing touch with Padavani, but it's Eric Luke and Christian Gritzko fighting for the podium spot. Gritzko backs out of it once they hit the backside of the course through Westfield. It is all single file now.
Nice calm start, other than for the unfortunate incident for McLaughlin. It's still single file for most of the pack, but really the big battle probably has to be for 12th between Gore and Spicer. As we see right now, he's going to be a little bit up ahead, not too far. But still, Spicer trying to, I have to say, he did quite well this season with some very good, strong finishes.
Watching Eric Luke on screen completing the first lap. He fends off Gritzko successfully despite a few threats. They hit Paddock Hill Bend. Gritzko's going to have to be much closer if he wants to try and make an attack. No such bobble from Eric Luke this time through Paddock Hill Bend's compression. Back to 8th. This is the likes of Mark Feil, but behind him, Paul Wildridge in 9th was under immense pressure from Christopher Richards. Richards, though, drops off, and is that Duchesne? Who is that? Yes, it is. Duchesne off the course and into the wall out of Graham Hill Bend.
Just got up a little bit too high up out of that corner exit, caught it in the grass, and lost control of it. And he's still spinning in Surtees right now. So
we're going to look at the replay, and then after we watch that, at the same time, Gritzko had a problem, and I think he hit the wall in Surtees. This is Duchesne that we're watching first, and then both accidents happened about the same time, so we might have to jump back slightly. Oh, yeah, way too much grass. Look at the car bounce, finds the Armco, goes fully around, and then you can see the damage. See how Gritzko. Now, I haven't seen what happened to Gritzko here. I just suddenly looked forward and saw that he was facing the wrong way, Taylor.
Yeah, looking at right now, I think he just might have overbraked it. In this corner in Surtees is a very difficult. You can easily lose control of the car. As you see right there, he loses.
I think he caught a little grass on the inside.
That could have been a big help for him as well, where it could have caused the car to spin around as well.
We're going to come back live where Gritzko is still running, and amazingly so is Duchesne. But I think Duchesne is trying to find his way into the pits. Gritzko came out a lot better out of that. In fact, I don't really see much damage on the car. Meanwhile, that means that Gunderson has been promoted to 4th. But how long is he going to hold on to that? Kenny Duval, who has been mistake-prone much of this season, is getting right up underneath him.
He had a good run coming out of Westfield, so he's going to try to apply the pressure right now to make a pass. Looks like he's going to back off just a little bit as they head into Sterling. So he is definitely a man on a mission. He wants to find that redemption that he's been needing all season long, try to end the season on the highest note possible.
Let's stay with this because I have, as Bill would say, my spidey senses tingling. We've seen Duval poking and prodding a little bit. He clearly has better pace over Gunderson at this point. So, oh, and look at him come from way back, poking his nose in, but I don't think that was going to work. He was a mile away. Stays right with him down through Graham Hill Bend. And still, he's not able to shake Matthew Gunderson into a mistake. I made a note for myself. From my experience, Taylor, I'm thinking that's what it's going to take for some of these overtakes. It's just an error from the driver ahead.
It is, and this track is very prone. I mean, we just saw here momentarily where one of our top 5 runners just made a mistake going out of Surtees. So this is definitely a track where you can make mistakes. We have an issue with Karsten Quint right now. He's definitely got some issues right now.
Yeah, he was sitting in 12th when this happened. He was coming into Surtees. Well, this is very similar to Gritzko. You'll watch here, he's coming down towards Graham Hill Bend now. And it's the next corner. Watch the left 2 wheels as he's just about mid-corner here, Taylor.
Yes, indeed. Yes, the grass definitely claims another victim here at Brands Hatch. Just clips that grass over the barrier into the Armco. And that, my friends, is quite a bit of damage to that Radical. Looks like it's going to be able to continue with how much damage it shows.
It always continues to amaze me how twitchy these cars are. It just looked almost instant that as soon as he touched the grass, he was off and away. Andrew Spicer, in the meantime, was recently in a nice battle with the car behind him, the orange and black machine of Tyler Gore. Spicer managed to claim 9th due to that.
He's not done yet. Not too far off the road from him is Christopher Richards running in 8th. So he is on the move, Andrew Spicer is. And he's definitely one to keep an eye on tonight. He's just slowly but surely working his way up through the field.
So as we watch Spicer work his way around, we go over to Gunderson once again. Duval's not been able to get by. He's hanging right with him. He's starting to look like he's giving him a little bit of space. He was riding much closer when we first joined this.
Yeah, showing a little bit of patience right now. Knows it's still early, but knows that if he does not find an opportunity to make the pass, he knows that, oh, that's a nice run as they come down out of the Paddock Hill Bend. I mean, he is definitely using a lot of brake through that section of the track.
Ooh, he gains a lot coming out of Druids. Oh, when he gets into the back of him! Turns both of them around instantly, 180 degrees. And as they try to refine the circuit, they're losing spots. File gets by them. Wildridge, Richards, Spicer, Gore, they're still trying to get their way back. Duval had to take a tow. Wow. Gunderson eventually returns in 11th as we go to the replay. I admire Kenny Duval's speed. I want to see him finish a race.
And the sad thing is like he has this speed where he could probably have even had an opportunity to even challenge the likes of Padovani and Overbay for the championship, but just these small mistakes have cost him all season long.
Wonder how much damage Gunderson has, because right now that's McLaughlin and Gritzko in a battle. Now Gritzko might actually be faster than Gunderson because he was sent backwards by his own mistake, and he's been trying to climb his way forward since. Oh, and actually McLaughlin's being given the spot as Gunderson literally pulls over for him.
I think there might be a little bit more problems to Gunderson's car than he might have realized going down the straight. You saw that onboard camera, you saw that wing mount bent a little bit. Maybe affects it too much, but still, there could be something in the engine that could cause an issue as he goes off course now again.
Yeah, a little wide out of Druids, and that will hand it over to Gritzko. Gunderson now down to 12th. Gritzko up to 11th. McLaughlin to 10th. Now, if you're wondering what's going on with our leaders and our championship battle, Padavani is leading by about 1.5 seconds. It's not a huge gap between the two of them. However, I'm trying to do a little bit of research, figure out how many points are awarded. I think it might actually be 4 points from first to second. And if that leaves them at a tie, here's the weird thing. Well, actually, no, it won't leave them at a tie because Padavani gets a bonus point for pole. But if they do tie, Taylor, Padavani already has more wins. It's 3-2 right now. So if Padavani wins and they get a tie, then Padavani takes the championship.
This is crucial for him right now. So if he tries to stay up into the lead right now, just pretty much this is the opportunity that Padavani needs. So Overbay would need to try to go for the win if they have to tie. So this is going to be quite the race here between these two teammates.
And I like to see that Overbay is keeping him honest. We ride on board with Michael now. The question is this going to be enough to keep him, to give him the championship? They've also stretched away from the likes of Eric Luke, another driver who handed away a potential victory last race at Bathurst, wrecked out of the lead early on. And the incredible thing, as I went back and reviewed all that happened last race, Padavani went from 11th to 1st in under 15 minutes. That just tells you how great of a driver Padavani is. Even when his qualifying isn't incredible, he makes up for it with his race pace. Padavani, meanwhile, sets the fastest lap of the race as we go back to 10th. And Owen McLaughlin and Gritzko continue that fight.
McLaughlin doing a great job of just trying to get up, stay ahead of Gritzko. Gritzko trying to find a little bit of recovery after his mistake a few moments earlier on into the race. Gritzko really closing in as they go down the Bratham Straight. I mean, he is just really trying to put the pressure on right now, but cannot seem to quite close the deal as they now head into Druids.
Riding on board with McLaughlin there for a moment, looking back from the gearbox. We're starting to enter the pit window, and though this pit lane entry isn't what I would consider too difficult, especially in this car, that pit exit, it always makes me a little bit nervous, especially when I'm in the car and coming out of the pit exit, Taylor.
It is, because especially with the pit exit, you're basically going down the hill again, pretty much like you're actually on the track again. But it's going to be so difficult, especially with oncoming traffic, where you have to listen to your spotter, let you know if you're clear on the outside, where you can get back into the racing line to set up for that next corner, because it is a little bit difficult to hug that corner when you're starting from that inside line coming off pit exit.
All right, this battle certainly seems to not want to peel apart from either car as Gritzko spins coming out of clearways, and he does get it going before Gunderson manages to reach him. In fact, Gunderson heads into the pits. But Gritzko clearly losing an opportunity with more time lost.
This is something Gritzko did not need, just snapped it loose around coming out of Clark. Unfortunate for Gritzko, the Canadian driver, been having a up and down season for sure, and just cannot seem to close the deal. He's got a little bit of time to make up on Owen McLaughlin, but still has plenty of gap for Daniel Barnett to not lose a position.
So it's going to be tricky with these bonus points as we take a look at 5th. Again, I'm trying to make sure that we keep everybody up to date with what's going on in the points championship. It's 3 points that separate 1st to 2nd, but that's before bonus points. That is where we've got to do a little bit of math after the race is over real quickly and try to give it to you as an off for Wildridge. Means Christopher Richards has the momentum. He goes around the outside. Defensive move from Wildridge keeps Spicer behind, but Spicer loses the car and goes completely around.
Unfortunate for Spicer right there, able to get the car back running up again, but it looked like Wildridge tried to go on pit road and Spicer didn't know where to go.
Let's take a look at the replay. This is Andrew Spicer, the number 22. Can't quite tell if he's trying to go in. No, I don't think he is. I think he just, you could see the rear just starting to come around even before they come towards the pit entry. So those bonus points that we mentioned, it's 1 point for pole. I think I said something about that a little bit ago. And then they've got a bonus point for fastest lap. Oh no, Padavani! What happened to Padavani here out of Sheen? Let's take a look at the replay. Oh my goodness! He was sitting so pretty. This is, is this, no, this is into Westfield here. Through Dingledale, up into Sheen here. This is driver error. There's nobody around.
Goes up into the grass, and there it goes around. Jefferson Padavani just clips the grass and sends that car right into the Armco barrier. Unfortunate for the leader of the race.
Wow. So he's come to the pits immediately, and it looks like he's taking repairs because he's been in there a fair bit. They should be in for about 12 seconds. He's up to 20 right now. Overbay's still out there. Boy, I feel like Michael has been saved by the bell a little bit here, but it's not over because that same mistake could happen to Michael himself.
And that is why we run the race, because Michael Overbay could have the same thing happen in the same exact spot even. I mean, we've seen several well-talented drivers in this car and in this track make mistakes, even the likes of Michael Overbay, like we saw last week at Bathurst. So anything can happen here tonight with Michael Overbay and Jefferson Padavani, as we just saw.
And Padavani's not in his car right now. This is not a good sign. He's been in for over a minute. He's gone a lap down from Overbay even. Oh boy. Let's go to 8th place. Andrew Spicer currently trying to hold off Gritzko. Gritzko's come back out on track. He was fighting McLaughlin earlier, but now that he's taken his pit stop and, excuse me, no, he hasn't taken his pit stop yet. It was just that spin. Handed over the spot to Spicer. 22, who himself made a mistake coming out of the final corner. Now has a slow run out of Paddock Hill Bend. Slight defensive move up into Druids, and Gritzko doesn't make an attempt.
Gritzko, though, is all over the back bumper of Andrew Spicer. Oh, as we see, Max spins around. Both of them do.
And did Gritzko actually get into him, or did he manage to avoid him? I think he never touched him.
There was no contact.
Wow. What heads up from Gritzko, but I think that's very little consolation rather, to him.
Well, if you look at it on the bright side with Gritzko, as we still watch the replay, he's still got a 7-second lead over 10th place, and there's no damage on the car from that contact. So, couldn't be too bad.
Cat-like reactions. I can't believe he did not hit that car. You could see how close he was. Gritzko just saw him touch the grass and start to spin, locked the rears up, spun a little bit himself, and he's back going. He's in 9th. Spicer still ahead of him, but like you said, he's got a good gap back to Barnett. So not too many worries in his head other than trying to make up for the lost time. Still 27 minutes left. Our highest pitter is Wildridge. Padavani has been in the pits for multiple laps now. He's 2 laps down. It's 3 minutes I'm not sure that Jefferson's going to be able to get back out there, much less actually take the championship at this point.
Unfortunately, I was actually kind of looking forward to a good championship fight here today, but unfortunate for Padavani, I think it's safe to say Michael Overbay will be our champion when the race is over.
Riding on board with Paul Wildridge, sits in 12th. He's already got his pit stop done. He's one of the few drivers to get a win. Well, I shouldn't say few because we had quite a few at the start of the season, but the Hoosier was one of the drivers that managed to find himself on the top step of the podium. Paul considered that a little bit of a fluke, but he's had a couple decent races this season, we should say. He's not without speed, just he's up against some steep competition.
And that was what was amazing to watch him race this at Road Atlanta. Another couple of drivers, Owen McLaughlin, who was really good early on in the season. I mean, had excellent speed at Spa, at season opener now. And Tyler Gore, who's now coming down pit road, he showed some speed early in the season, but has fell into a little bit of a rut towards the second half of the season. So maybe tonight can put a little bit of a good high note for him tonight.
Getting some information from either one of Padavani's crews or friends. He's got 10 minutes of repair, so he is going to be in there for a long, long time. Not sure when we'll see him back out on track. Gore, though, the Canadian, is back out and going. Returns in 9th.
That will put him as our highest pitter for the time being. I believe Andrew Spicer, nope, that's Andrew Spicer came down pit road as well. He's on there for quite some time.
Oh, yeah, 26 seconds for Spicer. Did he have damage as well, potentially?
I think he had a little bit of damage early on from the race, but he's going to try to get back on it. He actually cuts a little bit into the grass right there coming off pit road. I think he might have some problems.
I wonder if yeah, hopefully that's not an unsafe pit pit exit. I wouldn't think so, though. Because I think it's only if you cross the white line. Still a little dangerous, of course.
A little bit. I mean, we've seen even in practice early on some drivers make mistakes coming off pit exit where they hit even the Armco barrier before they come out of pit road. So even the pit road can be a little bit tight and difficult for some drivers.
Riding on board Christopher Richards right now. He sits in 4th, having started, and get this, 10th place. A lot of spots gained. Mark File as well, jumping from 8th to 3rd, but that's becoming a bit familiar for File. He started a little bit farther down. I think he was in 6th at the start at Bathurst, and came home in his 2nd place, just by avoiding a lot of the problems that many of those around him fell victim to. This is starting to look quite a bit like that, even though it's a very different track.
Two totally opposite tracks, but yet we see Christopher Richards doing a stellar job here today. I mean, actually still tracking down the likes of Mark File. So we could see him up towards the podium position before this is all said and done, as he is closing into the back bumper as they're coming up out of Clark down the Bratham Straight. I mean, Christopher Richards, just a stellar job. Even looking at his stats and everything he's shown, he's been working slowly but surely up his way through the field here throughout this season.
We've got some of our cars who have pitted finding themselves having to deal with cars who have not pitted or are slower on pace. Paul Wildridge just overtook Gary Schilling, and he was being chased by Gunderson, but managing to get by Schilling right before the back half of the course has proved to be problematic for Gunderson, who's now stuck behind the green and white car. This is Wildridge that we see on screen now. Don't really need the replay. It was a pretty simple pass. But look at how bottled up Gunderson is.
Yeah, Gunderson is needing to find a way quickly to get by Schillings in order to try to close that gap on Wildridge. This could be a good time to make the pass down the Bratham Straight. He's going to take a look right now as they head to the Paddock Hill Bend. Beautiful pass to the inside, completes it, and now sets his sight on his rival Paul Wildridge.
Oh, but the damage is done. What was about 0.2 of a second up to the number 67 car, Gunderson now has to bring down a 2-second gap to something a little bit less. Did we have a change for position up at the top? Christopher Richards What happened? Yes, indeed. Richards had an off, and he lost out to Harmon. Take a look at the replay. This was in Sterling. Oh, here we're going to see it right coming into the banked left-hander, the New York driver, too hot in. Oh, no, excuse me. No, that was the car overtaking him. This is Richards that we're going to watch now from on board. This should give us a real good idea of what caused this. Wow.
A lot of luck. Late braking into the corner entry just caused the car to get loose coming out from underneath him. As he decided to come down pit road and now completed his pit stop. So now he has to now go back find Tyler Gore, which is actually right in front of him, as Tyler Gore is our current highest pitter.
It's been a bad day for Christian Gritzko. He had yet another spin, another one in Surtees, but this time he did not hit the wall. He simply backed it up into a cone and then took off once more. He's currently sitting in 6th. I think that's spin number 3 or 4. I think 4, actually.
I lost count, to be honest.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's not a good thing if we start to have trouble figuring out how many times you've been turned around. 20 minutes left to go on the clock. We're still waiting on Jefferson Padovani to come back out, if he comes back out. And even then, I'd say the nails are in the coffin on his championship hopes, because Overbay will be well ahead, even if Overbay has any sort of trouble. He has yet to pit our race leader and points leader. He started to see the championship potentially slip away, but this final round, Lady Luck smiled upon the Buckeye driver in the number 68, leading, might even take a win as he clinches the crown.
What a drive indeed for Michael Overbay, and beautiful radical coming down out of Clark down the Bratham Straight. Has a little bit of lap traffic in front of him, but I'm pretty sure he will be patient and make quick work of the likes of Gary Schillings down towards the Paddock Hill bend. Oh, as we have trouble.
Wow,
right
off
there.
track for Overbay. Yeah. The compression at the bottom of Paddock Hill Bend proves that it's tricky even for the fast drivers.
And that could have been much worse. If he caught more of that gravel, it could have easily sent him careening into the Armco barrier. So a little bit of a fortunate event for him right there, as he was able to get control quickly of the car.
Now, the good news for him is that even if something does happen to him, at 29 points back, Mark Feil with the 13 pocket points for Michael Overbay. Mark Feil cannot overtake him, I am pretty certain. Mark Feil currently sits in 3rd. If he gets promoted up to 2nd by a problem for Overbay, that definitely won't be enough for him to overtake him in the championship. So at this point, we can pretty confidently say that no matter what, Overbay should have the championship. It is not for certain, but unofficially, that's what the math is pointing towards.
Tell you what, though, that team's championship could tighten up just a little bit right now with Padovani the likes in the pit roads, as he's now actually, I believe, nope, he's still on pit road right now. Or is he back on track? I'm looking at relatives. Yes, he is back on track.
He's out there. He's running in 16th, and he's 8 laps down. The next car closest to him is David Hebert, about 42 seconds ahead, which is more than half a lap. Now, knowing Padovani's pace, if his car got pretty well fixed, he could still chase down Hebert. But, I mean, that's little consolation. That's the only position he would be able to gain on track unless more drivers had incidents.
Yeah, as we was back to the point, though, that team's championship could tighten up just a little bit, with Eric Luke and Mark Feil running 2nd and 3rd, with only Overbay leading and Padovani back in 16th. So I don't think that Eric Luke and Mark Feil can maybe clinch the team's championship, but they can definitely close that gap just a little bit here when this race is over.
Feil has about 10 seconds up to the 2nd place driver, Eric Luke. I think perhaps one of the most disappointed drivers, even if they do get the team's championship, which is obviously valuable to these guys. Luke will come away, unless something happens to Overbay, Luke will come away without a win this season. And that, I think, is a shame because Luke has proven himself to be very, very fast. Tyler Gore just had a problem coming out of Graham Hill Bend. It was a single car spin out of the downhill left-hander. Let's take a look at the replay. Yep, that's a pretty simple case of the rear swapping ends with the front as you start to find the power. More cars in the pits. Owen McLaughlin comes in from 5th. Eric Harmon as well. Waiting on a number of drivers at the front of the field to pit still. Overbay, Luke, File, and Gritzko. Gary Schilling as well has not come in, but he's down in 11th. McLaughlin, the Californian, returns to the circuit. 15 minutes to go. We're seeing a relatively spread out field. Only 16 cars still running on the track. We have retirements in the form of McManus, Duchesne, Quint, and possibly Duval. Duval has been in repairs for 12 whole minutes, so I'm not sure that we should expect him back. He could still yet return.
Looks like we have our 3rd place driver on pit lane right now, Mark File. He is the first one out of our top 5 to wave the flag. Actually, Aaron Hartman was actually looking at right now. Ooh.
Sorry, Grits go around again. This one in Sterling. Didn't hit anything. Boy, he's gotten very, very lucky a number of times. File returns to the track. And in fact, File returns in 3rd, which was where he was when he pitted the 777. Clearly not losing out anything. In fact, it's a long ways back to the next driver who has pitted, Eric Harmon. It is roughly 8 seconds between File and Harmon.
Overbay's going to be staying out this time.
So is Luke. And it's a long ways back to Gritzko next. In fact, well, this is actually, I shouldn't say who's on the lead lap right now because it's a little bit wonky due to the pit stops. We'll get a better picture of that once we get the last of our leaders in. What a fascinating unfolding of events in terms of the championship. Padavani making us bite our nails, making Overbay bite his nails all the way down to the line. But his own mistake scuppered his chances and practically hands it over on a silver platter to Overbay. And you see the Brazilian, who at least will tie on wins if things stay as they are. Both teammates taking 3 this season. In an 8-round season, I'd say Geodesic should be pretty proud of that.
I mean, that is impressive running for a team here this season. 6 out of the 8 wins go to this team, and I mean, just a stellar performance as we now have Michael Overbay coming down pit road. He is going to complete his stop with under 13 minutes left on the clock. Eric Luke, though, decides to stay out, and then Christian Gritzko is a good ways off. I don't think you'll be able to catch him, but let's see what he's able to do with Eric Luke coming. See if he decides to come down and respond the next time by.
Yeah, Luke ways back, so I don't know that he can necessarily leapfrog him, especially with so little racing left to go. Overbay returns in 2nd place. This is Luke that we are watching, the number 09, through Pilgrim's Drop towards Hawthorne. Just him, Gritzko, and Schilling yet to take their scheduled stop.
I just watched the pass for third between Mark Feil and Gritzko. Gritzko still has to make his pit stop, but Mark Feil just let him by down the Bradland Straight. No problem at all. Didn't want to probably have an issue going down into the first corner. So he decides, knowing that Gritzko has to make a pit stop, decides to just let him by.
Yeah, that's some really savvy racing from Mark Feil if he did let him go. I would hope that he's aware, or someone maybe's in his ear letting him know that Gritzko has to pit, so not worth risking the car. So Mark Feil will re-inherit that in the 777. What happened to Tyler Gore here? This is out of Druids. Oh, this was contact with another car. David Hebert. I think it was a lapped car. Hebert's going to get spun around, and actually Matthew Gunderson gets involved in it as well. There's the initial contact. Both cars spin around. There's Gunderson, blind corner, T-bones him, absolutely turns over Hebert.
Unfortunate, right? That was a hard hit for David Hebert. Matthew Gunderson, as we go on board. I mean, goodness gracious.
Look at this. Pick heads or tails. Unfortunately, whatever Hebert picked was not the right side.
And unfortunate, that takes out both teammates for that for those two cars of Gunderson and Gore. Both of them going to have a little bit of damage to the car, especially the likes of Gunderson.
All right, Gritzko's finally come in, taking his stop, and it's a regular amount of time. So whatever damage he may have gotten from clipping the wall is, who's that going off? That's Spicer, who's laps down, so that's not for position. He manages to get back on course, but Gritzko, who clipped the wall early, seems to not be affected enough by it to really be concerned with it. Eric Luke, our temporary leader, takes his stop. He's going to hand that back over to the number 68. Michael Overbay re-inherits the lead.
Just a quick stop right now. Eric Luke comes off pit road finally, and gonna easily get back into second position, miles ahead of Mark Feil, who's still sitting in the third position as Overbay pulls out to about almost a 12-second lead over the likes of Eric Luke.
There we see our championship leader, potential champion, we should say, in the inaugural season of the American iRacing Thursday Series. Now, I don't know if anybody mistakenly told Gary Schilling this was Tsukuba or something, but he still has not pitted with 9 minutes to go. Granted, he's a lap down. There's the green and white car.
He just decided to keep on driving. Give him the Dory Award for just keeping on it out of the track. No damage to the car by the looks of it looking around the car. So I'd say not a bad run for Gary Schilling, even though he's a lap down at 11th. It's not a bad run.
Yeah, only 10 cars on the lead lap, and since Schilling won't re-inherit the lead lap with this, who's this? He's just trying to get by. That's Daniel Barnett, who's actually, oh no, this is for position. This is a battle for 11th.
Daniel Barnett's going to try to utilize a little bit of the slipstream. Not much of a straightaway here down the Bradland Straight before they go into turn 1. But Gary's doing a really good job of keeping the car on track as they head down to Druids. It's a little bit wide, though. This might give the opportunity for Daniel Barnett to take a peek to the inside, as now we see Schilling go a little off course, but still able to hold off Daniel Barnett for that 11th position.
Now, we don't need to go to a replay as a little bit ducking to the inside. Daniel Barnett starting to get aggressive. I can report that Gritzko had another spin in Surtees. He did not hit anything, but he said enough is enough. I'm having trouble. And he has exited the race down to the inside into Hawthorne, who's brave. Oh, I'd say that Schilling is brave. Chops the nose off of Daniel Barnett.
What a power move to try to hold off the likes of Daniel Barnett. This is soon going to be the battle for 10th position right now, as Barnett is trying to find any which way to get by. He might take a look as they go down into Shreve. I mean, just an excellent battle between these two. Even though this is for 10th position, still great racing between the likes of Schilling and Barnett.
And there's there's Gary Schilling finally coming into pit. I wonder if Barnett knew that he had to pit, because that's going to be a little frustrating if he didn't. He was just battling for nothing. There's Michael Overbay, still up ahead. Now leading by 11 seconds over Eric Luke. Overbay started this on the front row, but it was in second place. He was outrun by his teammate, at least in one lap pace, by about 0.2 of a second on a relatively short track. Then behind him, Eric Luke started this in third, has jumped up one position, looking at a nicely earned podium. I think he probably wanted a little bit more. Still, he's been running a quiet race. He's in no man's land right now with 15 seconds. Back to the last... who's this? Spun around. That's McLaughlin.
Got it looped around. This looks like to be quite 12 of the corner right there. This is in turn 1.
I think it's in Druids. Yep.
Yep,
And right around she goes. Didn't hit anything. Teammate swings on by and gets it going once again after a little lawn mowing. So back to our run through the order. Mark File sitting in third. The 777 started in 8th place. Yet again, showing himself to be a steady and consistent driver. Just needs to be a little bit faster. Maybe he could get some wins. And same deal with Eric Harmon, who was on the podium last week. Not sure if that's going to be the same this week unless another driver falls by the wayside. But still, he sits in 4th, having qualified. And he actually did take a qualifying time this race compared to last round, from 14th to 4th for him. Top 5 rounded out by Christopher Richards. He started in 10th himself, another driver who just avoided the mess, avoided the mistakes, and now is looking at 5th place if he can hold on to the car for the final 5 minutes. What about the next 5, Taylor?
Currently sitting in 6th position is the likes of Paul Wildridge, having a quiet night here right now as he's trying to chase down the likes of Christopher Richards, some 6 seconds back from him as it goes up the search. He's doing a great job tonight. No issues, started in 9th, but gained a little bit of positions. Behind him is the likes of Owen McLaughlin, who just had his spin in Druids. Started back in 5th. Lost a little bit of time here today for the California driver. Probably looking forward to have an ending of the race here tonight. With Matthew Gunderson, though, 5 seconds behind him, closing up on him. Started back in 7th, so he's lost a little bit of time here tonight, but still a great run for the Canadian driver as he's trying to find his way after that incident earlier. Behind him is his teammate, Tyler Gore, the second of the Canadian drivers of this team. Has had a rough night as well after that contact early on as we see the lights. I believe that looked like our leader Overbay going by. And then rounding out our top 10 is still going on. I believe that battle for Barnett and Schilling has ended as Schilling has decided to come down pit road. But Barnett will round out your top 10. The New York driver currently only 1 lap down as there's now only 9 cars in the lead lap.
And indeed, Schilling's actually still behind Barnett, but it's about 29 seconds between them. He's running in P11. He started it in 18th. I have to tip my hat a little bit to Gary. Those drivers who may not have the pace, but just keep at it and find results like this have my admiration. I consider myself one of them. Andrew Spicer's behind him in 12th. I feel like maybe Spicer could have seen a little bit more, but couldn't avoid some of the problems today. He still hasn't really fallen too far back because he started in 13th, so he's actually gained 1 position. Then we've got the likes of Phil Guillaumin out there in unlucky number 13. He's actually 3 laps down instead of 1 lap down. Guillaumin, we haven't really paid attention to him, so I'm not exactly sure what has affected his race, but judging by the damage, I mean, put 2 and 2 together. Then Gritzko is still actually 14th, but he is not in the race right now. I believe he should be overtaken by Jefferson Padavani pretty soon. Padavani back out on track and running in 15th, should jump up to 14th. And then he is the last car running. David Hebert looks like he's not going to be able to return to the track ever since he got flipped over. Kitty Duval as well is not coming back. He's been in the pits for a whole 25 minutes. ride on board with Padavani, continuing to do what he can, trying to finish with his chin up somewhat. Even if he can't take the championship, he wants to see the checkered flag.
Still, though, can't get enough of the speed that Padavani has shown this season. We kind of come scratching our head during pre-race when we see him in practice, wondering, okay, are we expecting him to be towards the back? And then come qualifying, we see him jump up to the top of the leaderboard instantaneously, just about as, oh, there's a little bit of a problem right there in front of them. Is that Owen McLaughlin again?
It was indeed. Down into Graham Hill Bend. Just locked up the rears, I think. Not sure if it's worthy of a replay. He gets it going and continues in 8th. Now, Overbay should get the white flag this time by, I want to say. His gap back to Eric Luke, holding now at about 8 seconds. I think he may have slowed down slightly. I'm wondering if Overbay's just backing it off so he can take a easy victory instead of losing the car.
That would be a smart move for him indeed, as Overbay just thinking about what happened to him last round at Bathurst, to where it put him in this predicament. He definitely needed to go through there as he goes by into Sheen. Nice smooth transition, not unlike his teammate Padavani, who had that incident early in the race. So this is the time where Overbay is just trying to bring it home in one piece.
White flag comes out for the Buckeye driver. It took us a while this season to really pick out who looks strong for the championship. But about halfway through, when the dust settled, this man looked like he could be a huge factor, and indeed he was. He jumped to the front in the points. And even though his teammate gave him a hard time, his teammate started to win a little bit more than he did for a while. Overbay is now responding. A mistake at Bathurst looked like it could cost him. He threw it away with the white flag almost in sight. Then came back this round, lacked a little bit of speed. Might have been sweating a little bit, but he didn't let it faze him. As he comes through Hawthorne for the last time, as he comes to complete the last lap of Season 1 here in 2019 for the American iRacing Thursday Series, I'd say this is a championship well earned. He might be looking over his shoulder if Padavani manages to show up for every round next season. He could be a huge challenge for the number 68 car. Michael Overbay now heading towards Clark. 1 corner to go. The number 68 will be your champion this season in the American iRacing Thursday Series. That takes us to Eric Luke. The gap has come down significantly, but there's no problems for Overbay because Luke will take second, and the last of your podium will be Mark File in the 777.
What a way to cap the season off here for the PRL as we're waiting for the rest of the field to come through. Eric Harmon looks like he will come home in the 4th position. The New York driver does well here, and then also rounding out the top 5 will be Christopher Richards, the Midwest driver, bringing it home.
And things have gone from bad to worse for Matthew Gunderson. He's out of fuel on the final lap. The number 33 is coasting. You could see, just trying to make this track as short as possible. His teammates coming up behind him. I think we're going to see a little bit of sportsmanship. Indeed, he's giving him a nice little shove. Going to make sure he can get all the way to the checkered flag. So as we watch those two work their way around, we're going to go to break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results. We'll have driver interviews on screen as well. You'll see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. here at Brands Hatch. We just watched the final round of the American iRacing Thursday Series. It has been a fantastic season and a great race to finish it off, especially for this man up at the top, Michael Overbay. Number 68 not only takes the win, but clinches the championship here in the final round. Eric Luke, who never did get a victory this season, takes second yet again. And Mark Feil completes our podium with a good finish this season for the 777. Eric Harmon as well with a well-earned fourth place, is followed by Christopher Richards in P5. Paul Wildridge will take sixth with Owen McLaughlin in seventh. Then it's Tyler Gore finishing eighth, actually just at the line. He pushed his teammate all the way to the end and then decided to take the spot away from him. I don't think Gunderson could be too mad, considering he's glad he saw the checkered flag in ninth, and the first car lap down goes to Daniel Barnett in 10th.
Gary Schillings will come home in 11th position, followed by Andrew Spicer in 12th, followed by Phil Guillaumin in 13th position. Jefferson Padavani, unfortunate for him to not able to take home the win or the championship. He will come home in 14th, followed by Christian Gritzko, who's pretty much spun in just about every corner here tonight, followed by David Abear, who ended up on his roof late in the going. Kenny Duval, who had an unfortunate again night, could not come home with a finish. Karsten Quinn in 18th, Danny Duchesne in 19th, and Ronald McManus did not start.
With that, we have our winner and unofficial champion with us. Michael, by our math, which for once we feel pretty confident about, you have clinched the championship with this win, sir. Congratulations. He's speechless today. Let's see if we can get Michael mic'd up here. Might still be celebrating a little bit post-race as we came back after a short break. Michael, do you have a copy?
Okay, there we go. Does that work
There
now?
we go. Yeah, now we got you. All
Yeah.
right.
I must have ate my Lucky Charms this morning, because that was I got pretty lucky to not get caught up in anything in that track. So congratulations though to Glitter Pants. He pushed me all year, and he just did a great job. And I want to say congratulations to Eric and Mark on their podium finish as well. That was just a good race though. Finally.
It's interesting that you mentioned the luck, because I couldn't help but think during the race after Padavani's incident how the worm turns. Last race, it was you in those very shoes that put you in this precarious position to the final round.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so unfortunately it happened, and I really wish it wouldn't have, because we would have had a really good battle at the end. I think we were just kind of both just pushing away from the field and then going to race at the end. And I really wish that would have happened, because it's really fun racing with Jefferson.
So the inaugural season here with the Radicals on the iRacing, American iRacing Thursday Series now belongs to you unofficially. How do you plan to celebrate?
Lots of beer.
It sounds like a good time to me. So coming up next season, I believe we just had the schedule released. I need to go and check exactly what we've got coming up first. Do you have any particular track you're looking forward to most?
You know, we hadn't decided if we're going to run next season or not. We probably will now. We just kind of talked about it last night. I think Jefferson and I are going to run again, but not certain yet. So I hadn't even looked at the schedule yet to see what it's like. But really, I like any of the tracks with this car. Our car's just a blast to drive. It doesn't matter, you know, where we're at. It's just fun to drive, except for this track, because it's hard to pass on.
I don't blame you there. It's never been one of my favorites. Again, congratulations, and we do hope we see you next season to defend your crown.
Thank you. Can I just say thanks to Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing, sponsored by GoPro now. Thanks a lot, guys.
Oh, wow. GoPro is now on board with Geodesic. That is some impressive stuff. That was our winner of the race and champion here today at Brands Hatch. Up next, Taylor is going to be talking to second place Eric Luke.
Here with Eric Luke finishing in second position. Eric, it was quite a quiet night for you here tonight at Brands Hatch, but still a great way to end the season off, especially after that last round at Bathurst. Tell us a little bit more about how your race went for you.
Race went pretty uneventful. I was expecting more of a battle this evening tonight. So to get prepped for it, I grabbed my Lucky Charms this morning and was expecting a battle, but it just kind of was a lonesome race.
It was quite a bit of a quiet race for you tonight, and it seems like Lucky Charms seems to be part of the battle, part of the topic here tonight, as we just were talking with the likes of Overbay about that. So we were talking about the next season coming up. What are your plans and goals for that?
Hopefully, it's kind of the same approach that I did to this season. Just hopefully next season I can have many fewer incidents. I had 3 incidents this season that pretty much pushed me out of the top of the standings, and hopefully next season I can keep it picked up and maintain the high intensity pace.
All right. Is there any tracks in particular you feel confident that you can maybe take home that first win of the season for you, looking forward to the new season?
Off the top of my head, no. My opportunity for that was last week, and I blew that squarely all the way home. So hopefully just next season I can put it all together.
Well, we look forward to seeing you next season here in the Radicals. Is there any sponsors or any family or friends you'd like to thank out there tonight?
Absolutely. Thank you again to HFD1 Motorsports for sponsoring the season, Fraley's Auto Body for sponsoring Mark File and I, you guys for putting on an awesome show, and big congrats to Overbay on the win, Jefferson for the 2nd place, and my teammate Mark for taking 3rd overall in the championship. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you, Eric. Again, congratulations on your season. Look forward to seeing you next season.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
That was Eric Luke, your 2nd place finisher here for tonight. And Joe caught up, I believe, with Mark File, Eric's teammate.
Indeed. We just heard from Luke that you heard it, and I did the math myself. File will take 3rd in the championship. Couldn't quite run down Padavani, but that probably makes today's finish feel all the more appropriate, Mark.
Yeah, guys, definitely was. I want to congratulate Overbay on a good series. Glitter Pants for bringing in 2nd, and it was a good series.
It seemed like a good series. End of the season, you've been on a bit of a strong tear, I must say. Is that 2 podiums in a row? I need to check my stats here real quick. But yeah, I think that's 2 podiums in a row for you right at the end of the season. Does that momentum carry over for you mentally coming to next season, or do you really not take much account into those things?
I mean, the momentum should be there. Unfortunately, I will be moving, so I may miss a few weeks. But I think the last couple of weeks here, the podium spots for the guys I work with, the A1 Gridcasting crew, they were my lucky charms in getting that support to get it done.
I believe we're in the presence of some sort of inside joke that's been happening here today. But we coming into this race, when Stefan Schlacker was doing our lap guide, he came to me and said that this car was a nightmare on the curbs around here. Would you feel that was the same, or were you able to dial that out with your setup at all?
Oh, absolutely. Curbs are a nightmare, and you can tell if you get on the curbs, you feel it start to bounce. You actually just have to kind of coast it off of there, wait till it settles down before you can apply any throttle, or pretty much game over.
We saw a number of drivers have problems around this track. So 3rd in the championship, 3rd out there today. Who do you consider your main rival going into next season? Especially since, as you say, it sounds like you might miss some points. So I'm guessing it'll be down to mostly just who you are up against on the track each day.
Yeah, I mean, the group I'm usually around are Eric Harmon, Christopher Richards, Paul Wildridge, Owen, and my teammate, Eric. Sometimes I'm able to keep up with him. If the front runners make some mistakes, then I see them guys, but normally I don't get to touch the top 3 guys that much.
Well, you never know what the racing gods might hold in store for you. Congratulations. Go pour yourselves some milk and some cereal and enjoy your well-earned results this season.
Thanks, guys, and thanks for doing the broadcast. Thanks, PRL, and thanks to our sponsor, HFD1. Thanks.
That was Mark File, 3rd place on track here at Brands Hatch. It's going to close us out. We will be back next season. We'll get you an official return soon, of course, here on GSRC. But we have had PRL confirm that they want to come back for the Thursday series. So a big thank you goes out to HFD1 Motorsports, as was mentioned, for bringing this season to the air. As well, a big thank you goes to Inspector Ride. If you want to check out that free download, the free trial, that is at inspectorride.com/iRacing. Go check it out. Also, a thank you goes out to IESN. If you would like to see more of this type of content, all you got to do is hit the subscribe button, and you'll get all the official World Championship races and many more on your feed in YouTube. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast. You can see them listed here on your screen. And additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Taylor, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Once we get to the official date that we will be back, it'll once again be another Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for this series. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen. So check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. See you on the track.